Okay, so now let's move on with our first panel of the day, which is working with the big three.
Hi, good morning. Well, I'm not sure if everybody knows, but the city spends over an average of $4.5 billion annually on all the stuff that we buy, right? Between commodities, personal services, and construction, and that's just an average from a few years ago. Who would want a piece of that 4.5 billion? Can I see? Yeah. And so I think we have some experts here who can help you kind of navigate and understand more about the city's procurement process. And I'm excited to be able to hear from you. I've been able to speak with you this week, and I've heard some great things that I hope that we can share with everybody else here today. So could we start with maybe highlighting maybe the city's procurement process is very different between like general city departments versus those of the proprietary departments. And I was wondering if you can help us highlight a few things, like one or two things that might be different between like DWP, harbor, and airports, and how you do business versus that for the general city departments. Like, are there certifications that you recognize not in others, and platforms that you might use not in others? So, Keisha, could you start us off?
So actually, I'm going to diverge a little bit, and I'm going to take the time to introduce myself. And then I will talk a little bit about the Department of Water and Power. So I think it's still morning. So good morning, everyone. My name is Keisha Washington. I am the head of community investment at the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. LADWP, as many of you may or may not know, we are the nation's largest municipally owned utility. We are the top dog. We are the big dog. We are actually probably better aligned with Southern California Edison, with PG&E, with some of the other larger privately owned utilities. So in my role as head of community investment, I actually have two groups underneath me. I have supplier diversity and sustainability. Notice we added a tag after supplier diversity, because our focus is now going to be sustainability of small businesses, but also sustainability of our supply chain. As you know, we keep getting whiplash back and forth with tariffs. So for us, it's going to be kind of important to understand where our suppliers are coming from, what we could do to help keep them locally, so heaven forbid something happens, we have access to what we need. The other group that I have is community partnerships, but they're not really relevant for here today. So DWP is different. We continue to be different. One of the things that we've done for years, and I'm taking you back to way back under a prior administration, where we at least agreed to put all of our opportunities on the predecessor of RAMP, which was Bobbin. And that was a struggle. Let me be very transparent with you. We continue to post everything on RAMP. What we do different is if you want to do business with DWP, you have to be registered with our system, ERSP. So we're a little bit better at that. I want my DWP folks to stand up so that they can see you at the table. That would be now, please. Thank you. So go see them. We also put out a newsletter, and I believe it's every month that you can sign up for, where we kind of forecast our opportunities. And if I can remind you of nothing else in doing business with the government, we don't do anything in secret. Take the time, track our board meetings, listen to what we say. We put out a forecast of what we're going to do, not only there, in our budget documents, in our planning documents. We tell you what we're going to do. It's incumbent upon you to read up and figure out where you fit in. And I'm going to stop there.
Good morning. I'm Felicia Ansley, and I am the Assistant Director of the Contracts and Purchasing Division at the Port of Los Angeles. And when it comes to ports on the Western Hemisphere, we are the top dog. And so to address kind of how we differ, we all, of course, all city departments are beholden by the charter, Los Angeles City Charter and administrative codes, et cetera. But proprietaries, yes, we do things slightly differently. When it comes to Port of Los Angeles opportunities, we do also post on RAMP, as all city departments do. And we have a variety of different opportunities available, and it's posted mostly through our port website of upcoming opportunities. So RAMP is things that are currently out and available for bid, And then some that we're working on internally but are not quite ready to release are what we call the Business Opportunity Outlook, or BOO. And if you pick up our packet with my lovely colleague Tanisha over there on the left, we have a list of those that are coming up now, and it runs the gamut. We're not obviously only maritime operations and cargo marketing, those kinds of things. We have IT opportunities. We have big engineering consulting contracts and everything in between. So I think that answers your question. And we also, in case I run out of time, we have a small business enterprise and very small business enterprise program that's not the BIP that you all may be used to for council-controlled departments. Ours works a little differently. It's not as it's as beneficial, but there's not a lot of moving parts as there are for the BIP. So I don't know if I'll have time to get into that later, but I'll leave it at that. That's one of the other big differences between us and council-controlled, and then we vary a little bit from LAWA and DWP.
And Mark, if I can also start, before I started working for the city, I thought LAWA just meant LAX, and so maybe you can also inform other people what other airports are there.
Well, LAWA used to encompass 4 different airports. It was LAX, Ontario, Van Nuys, and Palmdale, when Palmdale was an operating airport. Ontario was sold a few years ago, as we know. So now we basically have property at Palmdale, but we're the main operator of LAX and also Van Nuys regional airport. Like DWP, we use Ramp LA to post all public bids, RFPs, and RFQs, requests for qualifications, requests for proposals, requests for bids. I think we're all familiar with that. But we also have our own proprietary system called Bonfire, which firms, when they enter into Ramp, that's the gateway, then they'll have to register within Bonfire to actually download the proposal documents or bid documents. We are looking at perhaps centralizing everything through Ramp LA. There are different efficiencies we're looking at. Talking to vendors and contractors, LAWA is really trying to make the process less bureaucratic. And direction from the mayor, Board of Airport Commissioners, we're trying to become much more small business friendly and do things a lot differently. Like with those, there are these special contracts called the multi-award task order contracts, which have been pretty popular and successful. And now we're looking at doing that with like our resource contracts as well. So have kind of like master agreements, bench contracts to make it more efficient for small businesses to do work with LAWA.
That's exciting. We've said Ramp a couple of times, and so I just want to make sure, does everybody here know about Ramp yet? Thank you. I love that. Okay. So I think one of our next questions I'm really excited to get into, because when you submit a bid, we always make some mistakes, right? Some mistakes are basically ones that can get you to be deemed non-responsive. And those are the ones that are sometimes small and sometimes annoying. And I think I want to look to our panel to give all our friends here some kind of top tips. Like, hey, what are the top mistakes that you're seeing that people should avoid? And it's funny because they are common mistakes, and yet people keep on making them still. And so, and please, please, please listen to this part, because you don't want to miss out on the bid just because you forgot something really small. So, Felicia, did you want to?
Oh, I have a lot on this. So I process RFPs on a day-to-day basis, and so I receive proposals and I review them first for our administrative requirements. I think I could sum up everything in 4 words: read carefully, follow instructions. That's literally it. I got to the point where I'm so frustrated with having to deem people non-responsive, which I don't want to do. I'm not looking to kick people out. I want as many responsive proposals as possible. I created a supplemental document because I was so frustrated. I'm like, literally, here, don't do this, read this, put this in this field, and people still don't follow those secondary instructions. So in summary, I'll just give you a couple of high points. Read the RFP carefully. Don't assume that whatever you submitted for your proposal for DWP or for engineering is going to work for the Port of Los Angeles. We do things a little differently. We have different forms. We have you submit them different ways. If we ask you to submit something and tell you it's required, don't assume, not for me. I won't need it. You need to submit it. And vice versa. If we tell you not to submit something, please don't submit it. Check the email address for submission. For ours, we receive proposals through email right now. And, you know, somebody made the mistake and sent it to portofla.org, and my email address is portla.org. So just little things, attention to detail is crucial. And if you have questions, in my case in particular, I make myself available before your proposals are due. And I say, send your admin documents to me, not the day of, the proposals are due, but beforehand, and I'll go through it. And I'll tell you exactly where you're faltering, this is missing a signature, this and that. So that when the time comes at 3 o'clock, I'm really turn into a different person. There's no sympathy, there's no tears, there's no begging, because I did everything humanly possible to help you not fail these requirements, and, you know, for whatever reason it didn't happen. So that would be my highlight, is just don't assume anything, pay attention to the details, and please, there's always gonna be a contract administrator who will be able to answer questions and help you through it, particularly the admin parts. We get it. It's bureaucratic, and, you know, you guys wouldn't be expected to get every detail right, so we're here to help you. So, anything else?
Felicia, where can we find those top tips that you're talking about?
Oh, well, those are for I did for my own RFPs that I released because I was just that frustrated, but we do have a generic kind of overview one on our website, which is portla.org. If you click on the business section and then contracting opportunities, should be hopefully in here somewhere, you'll find our page. And so I have kind of an overview of our requirements.
Well, first, I was remiss in not introducing my amazing staff who I have here. They're in the corner table over there, members from our strategic sourcing division, who are our procurement experts. And then we also have our business jobs and social responsibility table over on the other side as well, who help us with outreach and engagement with businesses. So what I've also seen, like Felicia said, missing one signature on what are called the city ethics forms, CEC 50 and 55, will deem you non-responsive. It is in our Los Angeles admin code. We are working with the mayor's office, you know, trying to amend some of these things to make it a little bit easier and make things curable for vendors, because I've seen a lot of firms get tossed out excellent bids, excellent proposers for missing one signature. It is very, like Felicia said, it's very frustrating to see, you know, from our end as an owner. I've begged the city attorney, we've worked with them, you know, cried and pleaded, and now there seems to be some movement moving forward with making some changes with the admin code. So our department's very excited about that. Attend the pre-proposal and pre-bid conferences. Our staff is there to answer questions. We will talk about what are the showstopper forms and things that could trip you up. Double check your bid. Like Felicia said, don't wait to the last minute. We've had people try to submit things on our bonfire platform. At the last minute, there's a glitch, and it comes in at 2:01 rather than 2 p.m., and it gets deemed non-responsive. So give yourself plenty of runway. You know, don't procrastinate, and really just try to get your bid put together and double check it. And, you know, and if you need help, reach out to us at our LAWA.org website. You can find our strategic sourcing division. Our staff is more than happy and friendly to help. They're always available. So
I think y'all said everything. If I can just repeat one thing, please, please, please read the bid document. Make sure you answer the question we're asking. Otherwise, it was a wasted opportunity.
I think that some of the people here might, and sometimes I feel this way about our own RFPs, they're sometimes 100 pages long. Like, what would be your advice then? Like, oh man, this is such an overwhelming package. Like, what advice would you give to, like, how do we best not miss anything that way?
I would say for DWP, there are going to be some forms that are always going to be standard. Hopefully you've taken advantage of RAMP and other places where you've already pre-uploaded those documents. But for us, the key is going to be, what are we asking you to do? Understand that part first. and then get to the rest of it. But if you can't answer what we're asking you to do, the rest of your answer really doesn't matter.
I would agree with that. There are a lot less kind of administrative requirements for the Port of Los Angeles in comparison to other places where I've worked, like Public Works Engineering or things like that. So the Slavery Disclosure Ordinance, and there's a CRO, there's a lot of things that we don't require. So I would say, just go to what's required and what it says is going to deem you non-responsive in the RFP and highlight those. And then you can focus on the technical aspect, responding to the bid, what we're looking for, describing who you are, what services you can provide. But again, it's very important to note that unless you pass, in our case, the admin requirements, none of that glorious stuff that you put about who you are and what you do and how you can best serve us is ever going to be seen, and it's a shame. So,
I would also recommend you do some research. So use Ramp LA as a great resource. You can go on there and see previous RFPs and RFBs that have been issued. A lot of times we do a lot of what we call rinse and repeat contracts. So they cycle about 3 to 5 years, and a lot of times the scope of work doesn't change that much. So you may want to do a search into Ramp, find the old contracts or old RFPs, review it, give yourself a head start on what may be coming up. And then you can also use, some of my staff may not be happy about this, but you can use the California Public Records Act and request public documents, from us. We're a public department. You can ask for the previous contract. You could ask for the incumbent's proposal that they've submitted. And so there's a lot of things out there that you can see that have been done before to kind of give you a head start on something coming up. And we also have on our website an 18th month look ahead, the LAWA, so you can see all the contracts. Well, sometimes things do pop up, so, kind of, be aware of that on Ramp LA and make sure you have your NAICS codes, your North American Industry Standard codes up to date so you can get those auto notifications. But that's where, that CPRA is a very powerful tool, and I would say, make sure that you guys, utilize that to the best of your ability.
I'm sorry, can I say one thing about the NAICS codes? A good point is I've seen a lot of Ramp profiles where there's only one NAICS code, which is a tied to your industry. It's to your advantage to select, even if you have to stretch it a little bit, the more NAICS codes that you have associated with your firm, the more opportunities are going to come your way. And if they're not quite a right fit, at least you will have the opportunity to weed those out versus if you're very narrowly focused and only have one or two, then a lot of things may not cross your profile.
And I want to harp a little bit on the public records piece. You don't even have to do a CPRA. Go to look at the board agendas for all of our agencies. You could do a search there and find out who got the last contract. You'll have the terms and conditions. You'll know how long they've had it for. So again, you can kind of keep track.
For your Ramp accounts, there's a maximum of 10 NICS codes that you can put in. And then in terms of the research that Mark is talking about, if you're having a hard time, I forgot to introduce my team over there corner and the Ramp LA team. If you need help in doing that search, one thing that's good to know about Ramp is that the default settings on the filter are the ones that are open or amended. And so if you want to do research, you need to be able to change the filters on the side to show you the ones that has been closed, amended, or awarded. So not amended, so closed and awarded or bidder selected. And so those are the ones that can give you insight into who has gotten the contract, sometimes there's even like that contract itself is uploaded into Ramp LA. So just tips and tricks on how you would also use Ramp for that purpose. So, okay, well, thank you for all those tips and tricks. Maybe, Mark, I think you were sharing also about it doesn't necessarily have to be a formal bid, right? Like I think in terms of starting off,
Sure, like LAWA makes a lot of micro purchases using the P card or using sub purchase orders. So sometimes we just go out and get multiple quotes if it's over $1,000. So what we do is we encourage a lot of vendors. LAWA purchases things like promotional items, and sometimes we're not having major contracts for that. So we have vendors come in and register in our enterprise resource platform, which is SAP right now. It's switching to Oracle, but that's another story. But But yeah, we want people to come in, get registered into SAP. That way we can actually find you in our system and then, request quotes from you. And then we can issue POs much quicker than doing a formal 30-day bid, a type of situation for like these micro purchases. We have vendor fairs. Our community relations actually puts on a really nice vendor fair, once a year. They have different vendors with promotional items that come in, set up tables, introduce themselves to LAWA, to all the LAWA divisions. They all come in. And I would recommend if you're interested in that, reach out to our strategic sourcing division and we can get you on that mailing list as well. And then as far as like the programs that we offer to help small businesses, right now we're doing a bi-monthly, it's called Doing Business with LAWA seminar. It's online right now. What we're looking at doing in the new fiscal year is actually doing outreach events. So going out into the community, each council district, once a month in person, and set up those Doing Business with LAWA events. So if you haven't been registered on RAMP, we have staff there that will teach you about that, teach you about registering with Bonfire. We're actually looking to partner with our other city departments, so GSD, DWP, Harbor, as well as LA28 has actually been interested in setting up tables like at these events. So we're looking at putting something together and doing that once a month into each of the council districts to help really target small local businesses as well.
The Harbor Department, Port of Los Angeles, has a small business enterprise program specifically designed to kind of pick up the smaller people who won't necessarily qualify as primes on the bigger projects. And so we have a mandatory, for certain projects, of course, not all of them qualify, but 25% mandatory participation requirement for a small business enterprise. And there's a definition of what qualifies as a small business based on criteria through the SBA. I won't bore you with all that. But in addition to that, we have the SBE requirement includes a 5% minimum for a very small business enterprise, which if you're familiar with BAVIN and the other certifications, the EBE, the Emerging Business Enterprise, it's the exact same thing. So when you register for RAMP and if you qualify and you get that EBE on your profile, it'll automatically, BCA, Bureau of Contract Administration, we're very acronym heavy, sorry. They will also give you our certification for a very small business enterprise. And so we're looking for small and very small on a lot of the big projects so you can get to know the primes, who they are, team with them on projects, get your experience, get your exposure to those different industries, and then eventually one day, the hope is that you'll have the experience and the resources to become a prime. So that's a particular achievement or something we're very proud of at the Harbor Department, and by being an SBE or VSBE, we pick up by happenstance, a lot of them happen to be minority-owned businesses or women-owned businesses. So by focusing on those two classifications, we tend to pick up a lot of the other certifications that obviously the city of Los Angeles is really enthusiastic about working with.
So we're DWP, we're different. A couple of things. One, thank you for mentioning the minority and the women-owned business certification. For those who don't know, and I'm going to call out Miss Elizabeth Williams over there, years ago we were actually very involved in revising, moving us away from the good fake effort, as I called it, and going into the business inclusion program and setting up the anticipated levels of participation. Although the current administration in the White House isn't exactly a fan, we, at least at DWP, continue to be committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And there's more than one way to skin a cat, and I want to be very clear. With DEI, I'm not saying anyone is less qualified. I'm looking for diversity and approach to problem solving. You come in from where you are, and you may have a solution we had not thought about. So that's issue number one. Issue number two, when I say DWP is different, we are different. Part of what I'm going to get my group to focus on, I don't see Karen, so she can't yell at me. When I told you the name of her group is now Supplier Diversity and Sustainability, I am looking to, one, make sure all of the businesses that we do business with that have an address within the city of LA, I need to make sure all of you have taken advantage of all of our incentives on the water and power side. And then I'm looking to have conversations with businesses, contractors, for example, represented by NAMAC, to let you know, how are you using our incentives to help our customers, your clients? We have money on the table on the customer side of the meter. We're not going to spend, but it's incumbent upon you. We at DWP are going to be better committed to partnering with NAMAC and with other organizations to teach you about how to leverage our incentives. So again, you service our customers, your clients. And I see the sign.
And so, what are some advice or maybe warnings I think that you would want to tell a business who's looking to work in government contracting?
Can I go first? And for anyone who's ever heard me speak, make sure you can afford to do business with us. Make sure that you can carry that load until we pay you. We're doing the best that we can, but that's your money out there. And you have to carry your staff, you have to ramp up. So that $1 million contract may look really, really good, but can you afford to float it until you get that first paycheck?
Agreed.
Yeah, just make sure you have your invoicing under control, because a lot of times that's what causes a delay in payment. A lot of times we'll hear a lot of complaints about that it takes more than 30 days to pay a vendor, and that impacts subs being paid. But we really tell the primes, if you have a clean invoice, even on our major capital programs, we've paid some invoices within 18 days, and we're talking about major capital improvements. So it is feasible if people submit a clean invoice that is accurate and that has no errors. And then our staff will process them very, very quickly. And LAWA is very strongly committed to paying our vendors on time.
Any advice that you can give in terms of how businesses can stand out?
I'm on the administrative side, so I'm looking for those requirements, so I'm speaking kind of on behalf of all our awarding divisions. But of course, to your point earlier, if we're trying to solve a problem or telling you here's what we're looking for, really make sure that you identify and crystallize why you're the best choice to solve that need, and make sure that your proposal is clear. A lot of them tend to kind of ramble and throw in things that really don't focus on the task at hand. And quite honestly, if you're on an evaluation panel, which I've been on many times, if it gets too much, it's all going to get lost and jumbled. So I would say try to identify and focus your experience, your skill sets, your references should be current, things like that.
There's a line from the old musical, The Music Man, know the territory. And so that's something that if you're going to do business with LAWA, really do your research on our organization. Come visit LAWA, understand the lay of the land at LAX or Van Nuys. When we have public events, come to them. Reach out, come to the Doing Business with LAWA events, reach out to our strategic sourcing division, ask questions. And like I said, doing a terminal walk sometimes helps. Sometimes even when I walk through the terminals, I'm like, oh, you know what? This would be a great idea if, LAX did this, or when you're going through different airports, you'll see things that maybe others do well and that you can bring to LAWA. And LAWA is completely open to hearing ideas, and really, we're spending billions and billions of dollars on improvement at LAX. And so we're very much open to the community and the input that we're getting from everybody.
I think the only other thing I would add, again, is get to know us. We are public. Show up at a board meeting. Read the board agenda. Know what it is we're going after. And then be somewhat aware of what is going on in the industry. Climate change is real. Wildfires happen. These are challenges that we have to solve. And sometimes we're not quite clear what it is we're going to do. So we're always looking for creative solutions. But again, answer the question asked. Answer the question asked.
Can I add one more thing? I don't know how much time we have, but for those of you that are small and you see the same vendors or consultants keep getting the same contract over and over and over, don't be discouraged, because as she said before, you can take a look at what they submitted before, but if you are very compelling in what you have to offer and you explain it well in your proposal, and if your pricing is competitive, you will be considered. It's not a given that we're just going to go with the same people all the time, and we don't want to even do that because there's new ideas, there's new resources. So I know that that's kind of a discouraging sometimes for some of you guys, but just, you know, keep paying attention, keep researching everything my colleagues have said.
Well, thank you very much, Keisha, Felicia, and Mark.
Thank you so much. Let's give another round of applause to our panel one, moderator Leah Chu, and also our panelists.